Hey guys, Narnik here from T2G and welcome back. So today, I'm here to take a look at my favorite Warframe. This is Frost. There's a specific, so normally when you see my videos I'm using Frost Prime, but I figured I'd change it up for a little bit. This, mainly because my normal Frost has my original build on it that I used back then, and then my Frost Prime has all my updated builds, which I'll show you guys eventually. But, some energy. Okay, so my Frost build is not very good, but okay, so let's go over Frost's abilities. So your first ability is Freeze. What Freeze does is, well, it does what it says. Freezes. Freezes an enemy solid for the set amount of duration that you have. Basic duration will freeze an enemy for about like 8 to 10 seconds. See how he's being frozen? It's not, it's gonna go away in a minute. Like that. Let's count. "14 seconds is how long this person is frozen for the base duration, which is 100%. So that's 14 seconds. That's a lot of seconds. So another thing is, let me summon in a few more enemies so I can show off the true potential of this. Is summoning a bunch of butchers. This ability is very easily recastable, as you can just, or you can cast on the ground for a slow over time. See that little ice thing? The enemies will be slowed down. How much power strength do you have? Actually pretty good. Yeah, that's how that works. And then while they're frozen, you can just blink them off there. Since I'm up there with your overpowered assault rifle. Yeah, that's how that works. The augment for this, I don't even know what it's called, and I'm a Frost main. The augment for this is called, I don't even know it, like basically if you cast on your allies it gives them cold damage. That's garbage, never use that. Like, that should only be used, like, maybe against Corpus where they're weak against cold, but it's pretty much a throwaway build. There is some synergies between this and your second and third and fourth ability, but I will show you those later. Okay, your second ability does this. It's an Ice Wave. It expands with a 45-degree cone for a range of 20 meters at base and can be modified by your range. Now, it does slow down enemies a tad. And it does damage. Like, if you're hitting against low-level enemies, you will one-shot them. That's why this build, like, if you have 60% ability duration, or ability efficiency, this only costs 20 energy, which is why I use that on my Ice Wave impedance build. But, I'll mention that in a later video. Ice Wave impedance basically just does this, does what the Freeze does, under all of the Ice Wave's radius. So basically you can cover an entire room in ice spikes that will freeze enemies like that. Pretty crazy if I do say so myself. Look how slow that one is. Yep. And this ability does slow down enemies and does a small amount of damage. The augment for it's called Ice Wave Impedance, which I just talked about. Basically, it's the same thing as your freeze, only in a huge duration, which basically renders your first ability useless. And also another thing about your first ability, freezing enemies, they take half of their maximum health, they'll be instantly thawed, which does not make sense, but, well, we're not here to make sense. Okay, let me get some more energy quickly. Your third ability is probably the most straightforward ability in the entire game. Snow Globe. Basically, you cast it, it's a giant ice bubble. If you don't know what that is, I'll talk about that later. That's not supposed to happen. But, basically just slows all enemies down by around 75% inside the bubble, and it absorbs damage from the outside. Now, I have a build on, which makes it so enemies have a chance to freeze when they're in a bubble, but I'll talk about that later. Basically, this is a very powerful ability. It's, health, it has health, and it can be infinitely stacked, so if you do this, if you, like, cast 3 of them, and if you have 10,000 health on each, it will now have 30,000 health. That's how Snow Globe works. Also, if you cast your first ability on it, it will remove it. So that's pretty neat. Now, there's another thing about Snow Globe that I'm not clear yet at the beginning. So it is a very... Basically, any damage it takes from the outside will add to its maximum health for 4 seconds. And you can maximize this by casting your Snow Globe every 4 seconds, while stacking them on top of each other because the health effect. So, yes. Now, another thing you can do with Snow Globe is this. It will knock all enemies back with violent rage, and you take half of their maximum health and deals true damage. Now, true damage is basically something that ignores all damage resistances. It will take exactly 50% of their health, of their maximum health. So I cast this again, and if you hit the wall, you will die. Which means this is very good for fighting like really high armored targets. Another thing, when you're uncasting your Snow Globe, it causes enemies to, basically it Fusro dodge enemies. I made that joke a long time ago in a previous video, but, yeah, let's just, oh, 1 second, I'll just, I think I don't even know if I made that joke in a previous video. Hopefully I did, but I probably didn't. So let's just make that joke again, shall we? Let's just simulate this again. And let me show you. Just wait for them to be unfrozen. And, push like off. Or, push like off. Yeah. Pretty powerful. So, now that you know all about Snow Globe, now you need to know about its augment. Chilling Globe. Now, let me explain. You've seen this before earlier in this video. Basically, when you cast Snow Globe, enemies have a 50% chance to be frozen when walking at 1 at the image, which means you can just shoot at them, and they're all frozen, and they will die. Yeah, it's that simple. So if we cast another one over here... Oh, that was a bad idea. Oh, there's still an enemy right there. Hopefully he freezes when he walks in our Snow Globe. Yep, just like that. And you can just fire on him to your heart's content, and then, yeah. Now, in long survival runs, you can just multiple cast Snow Globes. Okay, this build, which is a basic beginner build, doesn't have any corrupted mods. This build has about 10,000 health for Snow Globe. So you'll keep on casting Snow Globe. Now Snow Globe has 100,000 health. If you cast another 90 times, it would have 1 million health, which is the maximum health of Snow Globe. Snow Globe, Snow Globe, Snow Globe. This is a very good build. It's very good ability. It's one of the best in the game for defense. And the reason it can be stacked is one of the reasons why it is so good. Okay, now let's talk about your fourth ability, Avalanche. It does this. Freeze all enemies in a circle around you, freeze them solid, and do a lot of damage to them. It does that. And basically this is a very good crowd control, but if that's what you're looking for, try a different build. Try like an Ice Wave build or something. Ice Wave and This is not the greatest build in the game. But yeah, Ice Wave does that. It freezes all enemies and does a really decent amount of damage. But there's an augment for it called Icy Avalanche, which basically every enemy hit gives you 100 damage reduction, which is like every enemy gives you 100 health for Iron Skin. So if we were counting the enemies here, that'd be around 10 or more. That'd be over 1,000 health on Icy Avalanche. I did a 1 hour survival run with this, and I only died once because I wasn't paying attention. Frost is one of the best Warframes, and I have proof. Now let's just clear up the room, shall we? Okay. Now let's show the other augments in action, and also show you my beginner build. This is what I call original build. Now, it has steel fiber for armor, which stacks with snow globe, redirection for shields, also has vitality for health. This is a beginner build. Also has intensify for strength, streamline for efficiency, stretch for range, an augment of your choice, prime flow or normal flow. If you want to replace it with normal flow, just go right ahead. If you don't want to form a frost twice, you can also take out redirection if you would like. Power drift for more strength, and you people are all cringing now because I have rejuvenation instead of something actually useful. This is personal preference. I like rejuvenation, and you might not. My personal preference. Also, arcanes are a personal preference. I would recommend probably arcane, the one that gives you armor when you get damaged, and the one that gives you health when you get damaged. Both of them are kind of expensive, so these are the ones that I run. So this build has chilly globe in it. Let's say I were to swap augments and do Ice Wave Impedance. Since I've got 100% ability duration, this actually says 12 seconds. This slows out enemies that come into contact with it. So, I will show this in action. Show you how blatantly overpowered it is. Look at that. Look at those enemies. They're all slowed down. This giant ice cone. It's basically a cone. Can you tell the difference? It might be a little less visible, but seriously, that is basically your first ability on the ground in a huge, wide area. That's pretty powerful. And Icy Avalanche is a mod that basically lets just summon a bunch of enemies. Now, this is just a build for beginners. If you want to see some extra builds, I have 2 other builds that I actually use, Icy Avalanche and Ice Wave. Don't really use my Ice Wave build too much, but I just augmented it so it's actually usable. So I'll try it out and see what I think of it. But okay. This is what Icy Avalanche does. 696 damage reduction. Once these enemies become unfrozen, let's just help them out with that. Okay. Yeah, and when they damage me, it gives very little to none damage reduction, but it's still damage reduction and status reduction. There's one thing that, and also if you cast it twice, it does not stack. That's a problem that not nearly as good as Iron Skin, but Frost has Snow Globe, so why would you even need to buff it? Of course, if it could stack, that would make Frost blatantly overpowered, and then everyone would want to play him, and they have to nerf him. This is something that I do not want, and nobody wants, but I have a new respect for Frost. I used him in a 1 hour long Kuva survival run, which was it was the Night Wave challenges for last week, and I survived. So yeah, that is all. That's everything you need to know about Frost and all of his synergies. There is one more that I should talk about, as in his first and his fourth. Mention that at the start of the video. Do that. Let's say I cast freeze on this first enemy. He will have the avalanche's damage. He will have the avalanche's effect still on him, which is like, I think it's like a damage reduction. It's an armor reduction. So he will still have that armor reduction, plus the freeze adds some more duration to it, but you're probably never going to use that synergy because it's very hard to pull off. Because if you run with an actual build most of the builds count for low duration on Frost, except for killing glow builds, so yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this long, extensive video talking about my favorite Warframe and all of his abilities. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button and like if you enjoyed. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Saronica, out.